All right, class, let's talk about how to title a college level paper and how to title forums for my class. We have what's called the three-part easy title formula, and you can see the three parts. You have a clever thing, a piece of punctuation, and then a serious thing. Now, why would you do this? Well, teachers have hundreds of papers to grade, and a good title makes your paper stand out from all the rest. If your teacher asks you to call your paper Paper 1, Paper 2, or Essay 1, Essay 2, by all means, follow your teacher's instructions. But if a teacher doesn't specify, it's always a good idea to use the clever thing, serious thing formula because it makes your paper stand out from all of the Paper 1 or Essay 1 other papers in the class. Uh, this formula also gives you a chance to be a little bit playful. There's not a lot of room to goof around in college, but the title is the exception because the idea is to get the reader's attention. And lastly, it's a good idea to use this formula because it's an exercise in creative thinking. We don't get to think creatively very often, and it's kind of hard to do. But if you take little opportunities like a title to practice your creative thinking, you'll see that you will get better at it. So let's take a look at these three parts in action. Here's some titles that I've gotten in the past that worked out really well. Our first one, It's Showtime, the difference between 35mm and digital film in movies. And we've got the second one, Got Milk, a comparative study of breastfeeding practices in Norway and the United States. Now let's take a look at these parts. You can see here the clever thing. This is called a hook or a kicker, and it should be something that most people can relate to, something they can remember, something that's catchy. Pop culture is a really good place to look for your hook or your kicker. Trendy expressions that yield thousands of hits on Google are a good source. Keep it short, keep it to the point, keep it clever. Song titles, movie titles, slang, anything goes in a hook as long as it gets your reader's attention. And if you look at the examples again, we already talked about It's Showtime. Everybody knows that expression. We know Got Milk from the commercials a few years ago. Dawn of the Dead is a famous movie. Even if you haven't seen it, you are aware of a movie called Dawn of the Dead. And then you have Size Does Matter, just kind of a silly little piece of innuendo that works as a great hook. Please don't overthink the punctuation. Just use one piece of punctuation, and let me tell you that a colon works in most cases. If you just put a colon between your two pieces of your title, you're set. If you want to get a little more creative and be emphatic, you can use the exclamation point or the question mark. They work. Don't double them up. Just you want to stick a piece of punctuation in between your two parts to separate them. And you can see in these examples, got milk, the question mark makes us ask it instead of just say it. It's the last two examples, the authors used colons and they work just fine. You look at that last one, size does matter. Big dogs versus small dogs as pets. The colon works as a nice separator between the clever thing and the serious thing. Now, the serious thing, this is really, really important. You want to make sure and use appropriate academic language to tell your reader exactly what your paper is all about. Don't be playful here. Don't beat around the bush. You want to be clear and serious. You want to use specific college level words. You want to let the reader know what you're writing about. Now, this last point about it being long, it doesn't have to be long, but it can be long if need be in order to get your point across. Take a look at our examples. Look at the last one. Big dogs versus small dogs as pets. It's not long, but it does get the point across. It tells us exactly what the paper is all about. Look at the second one. A comparative study of breastfeeding practices in Norway and the United States. Very long. It's not playful. It's actually very serious. It lets the reader know exactly what the paper is all about. That's the idea here. Use your title to get the reader's attention and then tell him what your paper is all about. This three-part formula will work in any class, not just mine. If you have any questions, I have a video in the same folder where I dissect the three parts of the title on a whiteboard for you. If you have any further questions, use the Communicate tab on Angel. Send me an email and we'll discuss it.